Election 2024 live updates, Trump to stump out West, Harris rallies with Obama and Springsteen. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is making stops in North Carolina, while Senator J.D. Vance takes part in a town hall in Michigan. What's happening on the campaign trail today? Former President Donald Trump will travel out west this evening, holding rallies in the battleground states of Arizona and Nevada. The Reno, Nevada, event will specifically attempt to appeal to the state's Asian American population. Vice President Kamala Harris will continue to use star power on the campaign trail today, rallying at a Get Out the Vote event in Georgia alongside former President Barack Obama and musician Bruce Springsteen. Both of their running mates will also hit the campaign trail today, with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz making stops in North Carolina and Senator J.D. Vance speaking and participating at a town hall at separate events in Michigan. Kamala Harris's sister, Maya Harris, will campaign for the vice president in Tempe and Phoenix, Arizona today and tomorrow. Harris's campaign said the vice president's sister will kick off a Women for Harris-Walz Ballot Party today in Tempe. Maya Harris had served as chair of Harris's 2020 presidential campaign during the primary cycle and also previously worked as a senior advisor on Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. Tomorrow, Maya Harris is set to campaign at Arizona State University in Tempe to rally college students to turn out to vote in the key battleground state. Later in the day, she will hold a South Asians for Harris-Walz Diwali event in Phoenix. The Department of Defense said it does not have the authority to use lethal force against civilians, debunking a Republican lawmaker's claim that the agency had changed its policy ahead of the election to allow such intervention during civil disturbances. On Monday, Representative Andy Harris, Republican Maryland, falsely told the conservative news outlet Newsmax that the agency recently updated one of its directives to authorize lethal force in certain situations. The congressman, repeating similar claims spread on social media among right-wing circles, called the change very scary and said unwound Democrats would weaponize the military if they lose the election. In a statement Wednesday night, Department of Defense spokesperson Sue Goff said the agency did publish and update a Pentagon directive involving military intelligence assistance to law enforcement agencies and others on September 27, but the provisions are not new and do not authorize the Secretary of Defense to use lethal force against U.S. citizens, contrary to rumors and rhetoric circulating on social media. Walz sought to convince college students today at Duke University that participating or showing interest in politics is important. I know you run into your friends who say, I'm sick of it. I'm just not that into politics. Too damn bad, politics is into you. It's into you, Walz told them. The school located in Durham, North Carolina, a key battleground state. A new memorial has been placed on the National Mall a few blocks west of the Capitol that depicts what can only be described as a bronze poop emoji atop former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's desk. Washington's latest tourist attraction, an art installation, has a faux stone base with a plaque that reads, "This memorial honors the brave men and women who broke into the United States Capitol on January 6, 2021 to loot, urinate, and defecate throughout those hallowed halls in order to overturn an election." The piece itself does not bear an indication of who crafted it, but a public gathering permit provided to NBC News by the National Park Service says Julia Jimenez Pijic of Civic Crafted LLC applied to place it there from today through October 31. The permit sought to display two works of art to express the principles of democracy, justice, and freedom. Harris says in a gathering with reporters in Philadelphia that she hasn't voted yet and hasn't had time to review her California ballot. The current expectation is she will cast her ballot by mail, two Harris aides said, but it's possible that plan could change. At the early voting site inside the Anne Arundel County Board of Elections, north of Annapolis, dozens of voters were waiting in line to cast their ballot on the first day of early voting across the state. "I've been voting a long time, and this is the longest wait I've ever had," Lorraine Schwartz told NBC News. "Usually I go on the day of, but decided to come early, and I'm glad I did." Sherry Campbell said she takes issue with the amount of money being spent on ads in the Maryland Senate race between Angela Alsobrooks and Larry Hogan, more than a combined $60 million as of today. "I don't agree with all the money that they're spending just to get elected, and half the time they don't do what they're saying they're going to do," Campbell said. Tonight, singer James Taylor will join Walz on the campaign trail in Wilmington, North Carolina. Taylor has endorsed the Harris-Walz ticket and will perform at the event tonight alongside his wife, Kim, and his son Henry. The performance comes as the campaign recently announced the When We Vote We Win concert series, which includes Bruce Springsteen tonight with Harris and Barack Obama in Atlanta. On the first day of early voting in Maryland, voters were in line ahead of the polls opening at 7 a.m. in Baltimore County. "I'm just so excited for this day where I can come in and just do my constitutional duty," one voter told NBC News. "I'm not one of those people that's going to sit back on my butt and do nothing," another said. "You make a decision, and I did." The Democratic National Committee has put up a mobile billboard in Las Vegas today that features Trump's reported comment, "I need the kind of generals that Hitler had," which came out Tuesday in The Atlantic. DNC Chair Jamie Harrison released a statement about the new billboard, calling Trump a danger to American democracy and saying freedom is on the line in the election. The billboard is timed for Trump's rally in Las Vegas tonight. Former White House Chief of Staff John Kelly also told the New York Times on Tuesday that Trump praised Hitler while in office. Trump denied The Atlantic's reporting and Kelly's claims, calling it made up in a Truth Social post yesterday. With campaigns and outside groups dumping millions on the airwaves with less than 2 weeks to Election Day, voters all over the country are being bombarded by campaign ads. The most aired ads nationwide are funded by the Harris campaign, the Trump campaign, and the two main super PACs backing each candidate, Future Forward and MAGA Inc. But according to Ad Impact, after that, the most aired ad in the nation in the last week was one funded by Democratic Representative Colin Allred, who is hammering his opponent, Republican Senator Ted Cruz, on abortion. The mayor of Waukesha, the seat of a reliably Republican county outside Milwaukee, endorsed Harris for president Wednesday, the first time the formerly Republican city leader is supporting a Democrat for commander-in-chief, the campaign said. "It would be easier for me to stay quiet and vote my conscience privately, but the stakes of this election are so important that I feel compelled to share publicly that I am voting for Vice President Kamala Harris, and I encourage other Wisconsinites who care about our country to do the same," Sean Riley said in a statement circulated by the Harris campaign. Riley added that Trump poses a unique danger to American democracy, and a second term would be even more dangerous than the first because there would be no guardrails. "We can't allow him to sit in the Oval Office again," he said. A blue U.S. Postal Service mailbox in Phoenix was set on fire at approximately 1:20 a.m. local time Thursday, damaging approximately 20 ballots and other pieces of mail, according to the Phoenix Fire Department. The mailbox was a drive-up collection box for mail at the post office at 3905 North 7th Avenue, according to Rob McDade, a spokesman for the Phoenix Fire Department. The fire was extinguished and the area has since been reopened. McDade said authorities with the fire and police departments are investigating the incident and that the postal inspector took possession of the damaged mail. The authorities have yet to identify a motive. According to a person who works for the Arizona Democratic Coordinated Campaign, the Coordinated Campaign office in Tempe that was shot at in 3 separate incidents is no longer in use by the DNC or Democratic campaigns in Arizona. 6 bullet holes are still pierced through the windows, as the glass has yet to be replaced. The suspect accused of shooting at the office, Jeffrey Michael Kelly, was arrested Tuesday and charged with unlawful discharge of a firearm, shooting at a non-residential structure, committing an act of terrorism and misdemeanor criminal damage. Former Trump legal advisor Jenna Ellis, who was charged in 2 cases involving Trump's effort to overturn the 2020 election, said in a new interview that she's worried Christians and conservative voters will opt out of voting for president in key areas. She told Politico that's what she's most worried about in this election, Christians and conservatives abstaining in key states and districts. While Trump has added new voters to his base and is performing well in traditionally Democratic demographics like black men, his campaign cannot discount voters in swing states who may vote down ticket but leave the top blank, she said. Donald Trump's handlers are pushing him to embrace a campaign format that is smaller and more intimate than the raucous arena rallies the former president prefers, the town hall-style forum. And while Trump's reluctance can be palpable, last week he swayed to music rather than take questions from the crowd. Advisors see an opportunity to narrow a yawning gender gap. Since late August, 6 of the town halls his campaign has put on have been moderated by a prominent woman in politics or media. A 7th, produced by Fox News, was also hosted by a woman, Harris Faulkner, and had an audience filled with women. One other town hall this month, hosted by Univision, had a male moderator. The editorial's editor of the Los Angeles Times, Mariel Garza, has resigned from the paper after its owner said the editorial board couldn't endorse Harris for president. "I am resigning because I want to make it clear that I am not okay with us being silent," Garza told the Columbia Journalism Review. "In dangerous times, honest people need to stand up. This is how I'm standing up." She continued, "This is a point in time where you speak your conscience no matter what." And an endorsement was the logical next step after a series of editorials we've been writing about how dangerous Trump is to democracy, about his unfitness to be president, about his threats to jail his enemies. "We have made the case in editorial after editorial that he shouldn't be re-elected. It was a logical next step," Garza told CJR. "And it's perplexing to readers, and possibly suspicious, that we didn't endorse her this time." The Democratic National Committee announced a six-figure paid media campaign today to help turn out voters within the Asian American, Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander communities across the country. Print, digital, and radio ads will be translated into various languages, including traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, Korean, Filipino, Vietnamese and Tagalog. Trump said Thursday that he would immediately fire special counsel Jack Smith, who brought 2 federal indictments against Trump, if he's elected to a second term in the White House. Conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt asked Trump in an interview if he plans to pardon himself or fire Smith on the day he would take the oath of office. "It's so easy, I would fire him within 2 seconds, said Trump, who added that he got immunity at the Supreme Court and called Smith a crooked person. The former president also said he doesn't think Democrats, if they retake the House majority, would impeach him if he fires Smith from the Department of Justice. Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, is heading to the Atlanta metro area to campaign Sunday. He'll head there after campaigning in Pennsylvania on Saturday. Pop star Beyoncé will appear at a rally with Harris in Houston tomorrow, 3 sources confirmed to NBC News. She will also perform at the rally, according to one of the sources, who has direct knowledge of the preparations. Less than 2 weeks until Election Day, CNBC's latest national poll finds a margin of error presidential contest between Trump and Harris both nationally and in key battleground states, with Trump ahead on economic issues and Harris leading on character issues including honesty and the fitness to be president. In CNBC's quarterly All-America Economic Survey, Trump gets support from 48% of registered voters, while Harris gets 46%, a 2-point spread, well within the poll's margin of error of plus or minus 3.1 percentage points. That narrow 2-point lead for Trump is unchanged from CNBC's August poll, and it's essentially unchanged from the national NBC News poll earlier this month, conducted by the same pair of bipartisan polling firms, which found the candidates tied at 48% each. Meanwhile, an oversample of registered voters residing in the 7 core battleground states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, shows Trump ahead of Harris in those combined states by just 1 point, 48% to 47%, again, well inside the margin of error. Former Representative Fred Upton, Republican Michigan, endorsed Harris for president today, saying in a statement released by the vice president's campaign that he has never voted for a Democrat for president, until now. More than 30 former GOP members of Congress have now publicly stated that they will not support the former president and will vote for VP Harris. I am proud to add my name to that list, as I have already cast my ballot for Vice President Kamala Harris to be our next President of the United States, Upton said. After having spent the last month trying to persuade undecided voters to support her, Harris will now pivot to the closing argument phase of her campaign and enlist the party's biggest stars to help make her final pitch, according to 3 people familiar with the strategy. Harris is set to appear with Obama in Georgia today and with former First Lady Michelle Obama in Michigan on Saturday, the first time the Democratic presidential nominee will campaign with the Obamas this cycle.